So now we're going to do something that a lot of you began to give me the ideas for, and definitely Kim, she was the first one who mentioned it to me on Tuesday, and then as we went through the lighting demonstration and everything, a lot of you said things. So I am going to become Mr. Rogers here, or Ms. Dennison, like I've ever been called that in my life, right? But changing my shoes, because we are going to go for a walk. And we're going to see all these cool things that you have been wanting to see. And I have the privilege of seeing every day I walk in and asking all my own questions about what's this, why are we doing that, what are you doing, who are you? And getting very, very good information in a way that I never could have gotten before. So we are going to go behind the scenes here of this production, and you are going to get to meet all these wonderful people who have been helping me these 4 days, and many of them have helped me before on other projects, and hopefully they'll still be willing to work with me after this. And I've got my mask because, of course, we're being safe. When I'm up here, I'm far enough away from everyone that I don't have to wear it, but when I come into the building, I do, and when I walk around the building. So I think I'm going to take off the earrings because they get a little harder with a mask on, I've discovered. And we're good. So, and they're going to jump in and straighten me out when I don't know what we're doing. So, Jack, you want to tell us what we're looking at here?
So, this is our studio. We put this together as a sort of response and needing a venue of our own that we could control. We've got a full lighting, sound, video package installed. We can do a bunch of different looks. We put this cyc up in the back. Here's
tell them what a cyc is, please.
Oh, a cyc. The cyc is the white background that you've seen. We've been throwing all sorts of different color on it to change the vibe for each day. That's that nice white flat piece in the back. So it's not a wall, that's fabric, and that can kind of come and go.
You see it changing colors right now.
Brad's changing.
Thank you, Brad.
Everything. He's got all sorts of looks. We can pull up whatever we need. We also have some lighting effects going on to the left here. We're cross shooting the room with a couple of different fixtures that can do all sorts of moving gobos and
what
colors.
Would those be called?
Those are VLZs, Brad? Auras, excuse me. Yeah, so we have, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of lighting in here. It looks like we've got some standard stage wash Lecos that you talked about the other day. And then we've got the Auras moving lights on the side and some top lights. And actually, I didn't even think of the ones on the back here that are doing the cyc. These are actually very cool. They can move as Brad is doing manually from the console. They're very flexible.
So those are like box lights.
Yep.
What is there, like 6 lights in them, and they're movable and they change colors?
Exactly.
What would the official name of them be?
These ones are brand new, actually. Brad, give me help on that one too, please. Strip lights.
Strip lights.
720s, yeah, and we just got these in fairly recently, and they're very cool.
They are. And is that a relatively inexpensive way to like dress up a room or do a background?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's so flexible too, as you can see. Brad can kind of call up anything, so you can sort of.
Ooh, he's got a whole rainbow going there.
You can brand your segments. You can get some action for walk in, walk out. If you're going to breaks, things like that. You can really change the vibe on the spot.
Very cool. Hey, Jack, can you show the rigging too above you? So a lot of people may not actually, or maybe that's not what you call it.
No, so what we did, and it's tough to see because we've sort of dressed everything, but we basically made a big truss box, which is supported in 4 corners, and we put this spine in the middle that allows us to kind of hang whatever we need. So we have a fold-back speaker, so you can hear anybody that comes in on the computer, and any playback. We have our 2 robotic cameras are also flown, in addition to all the lights, and our speaker support monitors. We have one of those flown from the ceiling, and one of them is on the ground on wheels, so we can configure it however it makes the most sense. And we also have a little, it's kind of hidden behind this big screen here, but we have a little producer's desk, so someone can sit here, watch the program, talk to the tech crew, and advise. And actually, that's a good example of one of our other, you were doing the plexi podium the other day. This is a nice faux sort of wood grain podium. This has, it's deeper, and it's got shelves like you were talking about. So this would be the kind of podium you'd want if you had that kind of need. Oh, thanks for the light, Brad. Brad's got work lights as well.
And of course, I introduced you. I thought Jack was talking for some reason. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell them what role you're playing?
My name's Nick Logue. I'm currently general AV, but in this particular case, I'm dealing with the stream. So the streams you're watching, I've set those up, bringing in the Zoom calls into the studio. I'm kind of handling both ends of the stream in that regard, and whatever else needs to be done.
Very cool. And
Alan. Alan is our trusty cameraman and AV professional. He does lots of streaming, cutting shows, projection mapping, things like that.
Knows a lot about music because he's a musician also.
He's a drummer, which you can just tell by his posture.
And Alan is the one who did the video for you, because it's kind of hard to recognize people with the mask. I'm having a real struggle. I'm going to have to re-meet everyone I'm working with when we no longer wear masks. But Alan is the one who did the first video that Cecil showed on PowerPoint and how to make better PowerPoint with your clients. So
would you like to?
Why don't we also meet Jack? I don't know how we're going to do it when he's got the camera, but
you know what? How about Aaron can take
there we go.
Camera. Robo camera. Or Robo, we've got him somewhere. But Jack is our producer, who also has in a past life done some shoulder cam work. So we decided to draft him for today's little experiment.
Wow.
It's doing great, though.
And just so you also know, they have two, are they called robo cameras?
Yes.
This is how they're getting all the different shots of me when I'm moving around and facing different directions.
So we have one camera here. There's one kind of almost directly behind Jack. This guy up here. It's kind of tough to see. All of our equipment's black.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point. But so that's fully controllable from our studio. Aaron's moving it around right now. You can program presets. So, for example, we do a preset for when you're at the at one whiteboard, a preset for the other whiteboard, a wide shot, and those are all easily recallable by one technician for both cameras. We can actually control. I don't even know if there's an upper limit. You can do a whole network of cameras off of one single controller.
Very cool. And I've got 3 screens going here that we're using for different things, for me seeing, for example, when Cecil and Michael are on, or Steve's been feeding me the questions on them. And I also have a time clock over here, so I know what's going on at any given time, and an on-air button also.
Go to Steve.
Yes, and because some of you do know Steve and some of you don't, but have heard about him, my partner Steve, he's actually in the green room, which I think they're going to throw a sheet to, and I'm hoping he realized it. And he's out there. I don't even know how many feet away from me. He's at the opposite end of the building, and he's the one taking the questions, of course, and compiling them and sending them to me, along with the person who has to deal with me every morning and night getting here, since we do live together. So wanted to introduce you to Steve. So that's Steve at thetaxtranslator.com that you have been emailing and everything. So this is the actual studio part. So now we're going to go out.
I'll help Jack out with this cable. So there we go. All right, so coming around the corner here, what you're seeing is our graphics station, which we are using. We've got lower thirds here, so when it's time for questions, we can take that machine that goes to the bottom of your screen, just like that. We have the slate for the Zoom meeting. We also have, this is actually a pretty cool computer at the end that goes out to our Zoom presenters. So when they're speaking, we can overlay standby and then on air, so they know when they're live to the stream. And we also have a little 2-minute timer that we can advance to help people wrap up if they're going over. So that's a nice little bit of engineering for that. These are 2 of our mapping/streaming computers that we have set up for various things depending on the type of meeting we're doing. They each can host, say, a Zoom event or live stream. This one's tied into our live stream 6 producer right now. And we can continue on around.
Oh, here, I can do that.
So here is our fearless sound guy, Nick. Also another Nick. He's got our Yamaha QL1 mixer right now. I know there was a question about equalizers.
Well, tell them even what a mixer is. Mixer
Okay.
and an equalizer. What does it do? Why do we want them? Why do AV departments keep insisting we need them?
So this is very important, and it's sometimes overlooked, but this facilitates the communication between all these meetings, but it also takes in this microphone, your microphone, our playback devices, and allows Nick to create several different mixes that can go out to different locations. So there's a full program mix that goes out to everyone on the stream right now. We've got a separate mix to that speaker in the other room for you that you don't need to have your own voice, so that doesn't go there. And similarly, any other location that needs its own special mix of all the sources can come out of this console.
So in other words, not only microphones, because I know where I hear from, planners is, well, why do I need it? I just have a mic. So maybe with one mic, they don't need it.
Well, no, even with one mic, you still need, actually, Nick, you got a channel strip up right there? Okay, here we go. So I'm sure people have experienced this before at meetings, but feedback. When someone steps in front of a speaker and the sound comes out of the speaker, goes into the microphone, goes back into the speaker, gets amplified, back into the microphone, it creates this instant loop. And that's what creates that high-pitched squeal. So what Nick has here is a controller for each band, each frequency band. So he can craft the sound to get rid of unwanted sounds, unwanted frequencies, and make it sound better. I don't know what your...
This is on Joanne's mic.
Oh, okay. So right now, for example, Joanne, why don't you give us a test? Check 1 2, check 1 2.
Oh, no, that's, goals and objectives, goals and objectives, goals and objectives.
So what Nick is doing is as he's affecting these frequencies and turning them up and or down, it changes the character of the sound coming out of your microphone, and we can tune that to the room and to the feed and make sure it sounds right. So even with one microphone, it's still important to have a mixer to be able to control it and route it and shape it to your needs.
And plus also if there's stuff coming in from other sources, videos, audio,
Absolutely,
everything like that, that's why you want that.
Absolutely.
Which
So-
I believe then is also what leads to the equalizer, right? Because
Correct.
you have all these different sources coming together,
Yep,
and you want to
so-
make sure they actually work together.
Exactly. And when you have different sources, you want to group them together in the mixer and EQ them differently. So for example, your lavalier microphone and my handheld microphone are very different elements. They sound different, so they need to be treated differently. So Nick can have a whole group of just lavalier microphones that he affects in the console, and then the handheld's different. And then, for example, playback sources usually don't need much EQ because they're already produced. So
And I'm sorry, what was EQ again?
equalizer, sorry.
Okay, sorry,
This is
got it.
shorthand. When we're
Got it. No,
sitting in
no,
the
I-
studio, it all goes to the quick stuff.
Right, well, we do the same things. You want to know what a BEO is? I mean, we do the same things.
Yeah, so EQ is a nice quick way to refer to when you affect the audio quality of a signal, whether you're boosting or reducing frequencies to suit it to your needs.
So one of the key things I heard you say, though, is if you want to make sure feedback never happens, that alone is a great
That's
reason
huge.
to have a mixer
Yeah,
equalizer.
that's huge. And like you said, people say, "Oh, I only have one microphone." Well, are you playing videos? Do you want music for walk in, walk out, and breaks? All those things need to be controlled independently, and that's why you need a mixer.
Very good. So what else we got back here? Who else and what else?
We have our wonderful Brad here, who's got the Grandma 2,
Yes.
right?
Now, Brad is who you met yesterday in the video talking about color temperatures. There we go.
Now,
This is what he looks like with the mouse.
lighting is probably my least knowledgeable position, so I'll ask you for a little information.
Of course. So this is my lighting console. Over here we can see every single light, individually operated light in the studio. As you can see right now, I have individual control of probably 90 different lighting sources that can all change color, and some of them have greater features like tilting and zooming. And
Wait, are there 90 fixtures actually that we have something to do with for this?
Oh, all of these fixtures are in the studio right now.
Woo!
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think there are probably around 20 actual fixtures, and they all have numerous sources of light in them that can be individually controlled and potentially have abilities like strobing or producing a gobo image or a prism. So there's just a world of capability inside that studio for any type of show we would want to put on, whether it be an educational demonstration or perhaps even a singing or some sort of concert style live stream. So we've
Great.
got a lot of capability.
And you'll notice he's got a monitor here, which is also very important, so he can actually see what he's doing. A lot of times we find ourselves in positions that we can't see the stage, we have no direct line of sight. In this particular case, obviously, we're completely outside the room. So we provided Brad with a switched feed from our head switcher, so he can see the color temperatures and know he's doing what he wants, or it's doing what he wants it to do. So that's
Very cool.
Nice
Sure
and
all the
useful.
levels are just right. So
Yeah.
that all the hair doesn't outglow the body. And yes, make sure you
So I look my best.
correct and your skin tone looks good.
Yeah, and with me, like I said yesterday, that's a huge issue because I am rather light.
Here at the end, we've got, this is actually what originated the Zoom call this morning with Cecil and Mike. So it comes in here, I can control the look of it, and this then gets pushed out to Aaron, and he switches it into the stream. This is another stream. This is actually what's doing the stream right now. This is actively pushing us out to live stream. Another interesting aspect, records. So there are 4 record decks here that are getting audio and video. These 3 here are getting direct feeds from our 3 microphones. This last feed here is getting the switched feed from Aaron. So this is the whole program. And the reason this is useful is because after the fact, if you have specific needs, if you want to produce a video about the show but cut it differently, by having isolated recordings of each of these, you can re-edit the show however you'd like.
Okay.
So yeah, so records, important, playback. This is actually kind of a cool setup. This is a single monitor with 2 computers plugged into it. So we run a primary and then we have a backup. We always run a backup for just about everything. They run concurrently, and you know, if there were to be a problem with the primary, we could switch seamlessly over to the backup. And that's controlled by Aaron, who's got pretty much everything tied in here together. These 2 units here are the camera control units for the studio cameras, the one that Alan's running and the one that Jack's running. And these controls are all for iris, color control, basically correction to make them match. And he uses this is a scope that gives him a more scientific readout. So instead of just looking at an image, he can actually see represented on these various screens the
We can change that dynamically.
oh, there you go.
Background color.
Yeah.
If you look at the scope,
So right now you can see
change color.
as Brad changes the color, you can see the data is swinging left or right to indicate the overall color of what's coming into the image. So what we would do is we would take something like this. Oh, sorry about that, right in the microphone. We would shoot something like this on stage with all of our cameras at the same time and cycle through them in the scope and make sure that the data all lines up. So when we cut between cameras, you don't go, oh, that one's a bit more red or that one's a bit more blue. We line them all up so they all produce the same output.
And I would think that's why, you know, sometimes you watch something and you really don't notice consciously that they're changing from camera to camera, like the
Right.
angle's changing, but you still feel like you're in the same room watching the same thing, whereas other times you watch something and it cuts and you go, what just happened?
And
Wait,
all of a
they
sudden,
changed
you're not
cameras.
thinking about the
Yes.
show anymore. Now you're thinking
Yes.
about why is this different.
Exactly.
So by maintaining symmetry among all our elements, including sound and video and lighting, you don't think about how it's happening. You just see that it's happening.
It's a consistency.
Right,
So
exactly.
it doesn't detract from the message or whatever else is going on.
Because just like we want to hide this equipment for the, you never see this out at a show. This is always
Right.
behind a drape or in another room. You don't want people thinking about how it's happening. You just want them to exist in it and experience it. And that consistency helps. So those cameras, all the cameras, the robotic cameras in the other room, the playback devices, the graphics machines, the camera in the green room all the way, 1,000 feet away, are all coming in to our switcher here, which is impressively, this part's not that much to look at. The back of it is an insane mess of plugs and connections, but the way he's controlling this head unit is through this controller here. So this bottom row that's green is the preview, so he can see what he's going to cut to next, and then when he takes it, it goes red, and then he's on program. So Aaron can control the feed going out to live stream. He can control the feeds going into the monitors in the other room. We do have a feed going to and from the green room, so we could have a switched feed out there as well. And it's kind of up to Aaron to keep track of all these things and make sure the right thing is going out. This is also where he would add like the keys for the questions as well. There you go. So
So Aaron, how do you decide what shots, like?
I sit here and I watch all of the shots on these monitors, so that when you're talking to the camera and the audience in the center, I make sure that the camera is dead on you. But when you move off to one of your easels, I make it more prevalent in the shot to give the audience the proper view, so that they're not missing any information. And that's just paying attention, trying not to be distracted.
And what is that role called?
That's the camera director or the technical director.
Technical director.
a lot of times, we'll roll several rolls into one. Sorry. Thank you. You think I do this more than once a day? So, for example, a lot of times if it were a bigger show and we had more cameras, you might have someone completely dedicated to controlling the CCUs, the camera control units that Aaron's working on right now to change. And also this controller is what's driving the RoboCams in the other room. So it's got a joystick. It's kind of, if you've played a video game, you can, my 6-year-old actually can drive RoboCams pretty well, just because it's that same mentality of, up, down, left, right, zoom in, zoom out. And that's, so Aaron just hit one of the presets that he's got programmed, and the camera made the move online, which means live. It lined itself up, focused, and basically recalled all that information. And you can change the speed of that, so you can actually make it look like it's someone operating a camera. So it can be faster or slower. So it's a way that allows Aaron to switch the whole show, drive the robotic cameras, color, and change the brightness of the studio cameras all on the fly. And from this little guy, he can take the cameras.
It's like, wait, I can't see.
He can change the cameras, but he can also send the videos from Playback Pro. He can hit a button, and it'll play through the network. Remote control. Yeah, it'll remotely control the Playback Pro. So he's actually doing playback as well. He's got about 4 jobs right now. But through the wonders of networking, we're able to make all that happen.
Wow. Wow. So what's even like these things sticking in the air right here, right here? No, here. Like here and there.
This is actually, this is a good thing to mention. This is our wireless communications transmitter and receiver.
Okay.
So you'll notice so Aaron's got this headset on right here. Mm-hmm. Nick's got one as well. That's how we can communicate with each other, and quietly, so we're not yelling and getting hurt on the microphone. So everyone that has a position gets one of these wired headsets, so we can all talk to each other. And then so that I can walk around, I could put on a wireless pack, which I think I left mine at my desk, but we should have another one floating around somewhere, which we can go down here and get. But that's what this is doing. This is facilitating the communication between our wireless compacts, and that is the wireless receiver for your and my microphones right here.
Oh,
So,
okay. I've seen those before and had no clue why
Yeah.
they were there.
Yeah, those are very important. Positioning on those is important as well. You can see it's pretty high. It's pointed straight at your where you're going to be performing, just to make sure it's got the strongest possible connection. And Nick has a rack with the receivers for all these wireless things that he can actually see what the connections are. It shows up in here right, as well, right? Don't you have it? Yeah, they're right here. There's a tiny little. I think if you just go to the channel, it'll show. Yeah, right there. There's a tiny little readout that shows the connection stability and the battery readout. So he can
Okay.
tell from here, from 100 feet away, if
my
your
battery's
battery's
going.
about to go. Yeah.
Very cool. And I see you have quite a collection here of lavaliers also, laid out, just in case I burn through them. Huh?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Ooh, hold on a second.
got all our lavaliers, handhelds, different style lavalier microphones depending on the particular use case. And we just swap them out as needed.
Very cool. Anything else back here, or we want to head out here?
I think that's pretty much most of what we're. I guess we. The only other thing we could talk about, Jack, over here is we've done some soundproofing here, just to keep our chatter from bleeding through the drape. So we put up these hard panels. We also have.
If you can't tell, those are hard panels at an angle, so the sound, I'm guessing, will bounce back down as
Correct.
opposed to going up.
And that's mainly for the higher end sound. The low sound is kind of handled. We actually have a bunch of rows of dead cases that we put in between all the drape. So there's the drape, there's the dead cases, and then we have this just for the kind of high end frequency dampening.
Okay.
And now we can take you on a little bit of a tour.
Trying not to make it worse for Jack here. Here, I'll put it down on the...
Yeah, you could just drop it right there. That's
Yep.
fine, and Jack will walk over it. So we're currently at the back of our warehouse. When we decided we needed to build a studio.
Make up further.
Oh, sorry. When we decided we needed to build a studio to sort of facilitate these online events, this was the logical place to do it. So we're away from our the offices, so we don't get people wandering in, things like that. But what you're seeing is all of our cases that we load up with equipment. Oh, 1 second, Jack. Hold on 1 second.
You're caught.
There we go. Yeah, so we have all these empty cases that we pack up with equipment. Our shelving over here, these are all video monitors that we use. These are the monitors that Brad had by the lighting board. So we've got a phalanx of those. And continuing down, just, you can never have too many monitors. All our audio, big audio snakes here, these are bundles of mic cables. And instead of running, this has 14 channels in it, so it can transmit 14 channels either way. If they were individual cables, it would be this kind of giant bundle of cables, but because they're all wrapped up in one, it's a lot less intrusive to installing in a space.
Yep, probably a lot safer too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know that's one of the things that everyone, we all worry. Who's going to trip over a cable? Who's going to, whether it be, your team or one of our guests or anyone. I mean, it's just like your worst nightmare that someone's going to get hurt.
That's something we were always thinking about. Even in here, actually, that's why this was here, that we were doing a test during the day recently, and because it required cables to come kind of in a high traffic area, we put this up and actually flew the cables up in the air so people could walk around and, not fall. Continuing on video equipment here, this is actually all the empty cases from the studio, so all the equipment you just saw came out of here.
Oh, wow.
This is our projector range. We've got 10K projectors, 20K projectors, laser projectors, all sorts of different sizes depending on your need. For example, if you were in a small breakout room, you wouldn't need a giant 20K projector. But if you had something, you could have something smaller, actually, like this. This little guy would be much more appropriate in a breakout room. Mm-hmm. Because that'll fit on a little table and get you what you need. And I guess our old friend here.
Yes, and I asked them to bring this to you, and as you can tell, the warehouse continues both to the side and a lot further down. I mean, it's a massive amount of equipment that does so many different things. But I asked them to bring this out because this is kind of their mascot, shall I say, of AVFX. Some of you who've been on my newsletter for a few years have probably seen it. And this is the infamous tape ball. So you want to tell them what that is?
Absolutely, yeah. So every show we do, we fill cases up with equipment, and in order to keep the shows straight and make sure the right equipment goes to the right place, we add a differently colored tag that says the name of the venue, the date, and often the name of the client as well. So every single case gets that. When it comes back in, we have to take them off, and they all end up here. So this is, I can't remember how long we've been doing this. A while, which is evident. We weigh it every year, and whoever gets the closest without going over, we actually have a trophy which I should retrieve and I'll bring it out on a break and I'll show it to you. And it has like a little mini tape ball on top of it.
And approximately, what is it now? 400 pounds?
Oh no, I think we cracked six. Yeah.
400 was probably the first time I saw it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we basically add, I think, about 100 pounds every year of tape. So we have all these different kinds to keep the shows straight in our heads and make sure it all goes to the right place. And it all ends up here.
Great visual way to keep the right equipment in the right place, for sure.
Yeah.
But the tape ball is like a legend here, people. I mean, this is...
There's a story that there's something in the middle. I don't know. I don't know who started the tape ball or the rumor, but one of these days, we're constantly tempted to cut it in half and see if that's true. But then we'd have to start a new tape ball. So.
No, it's great, and it's fun to look at because of the colors and everything. So hopefully that gave you some idea of where I am and what I'm doing, and all these wonderful people who have helped me pull this off. You've seen Cecil. He's not with us actually in the building, but I had the privilege of meeting Cecil in the fall of 2012 when I first moved back to Massachusetts, and I've been very fortunate to build that both friendship and relationship, and I love being at AVFX, and they've helped me so many times. Like I said, they hosted my BU class in the fall at one point, and my students were just so impressed by not only what they taught them, but how they treated them. And I think that's part of their brand. I really do, how they treat people. And I will tell you this, one of the other things I learned that I'm very impressed by is employee turnover is extremely low here. And I had someone last year who was relatively new to the company who really told me about this, and he says, those of us who want to get in here, we wait years till a position's open because this is where we want to work. So that says a lot to me too.